Hello and welcome to yet another edition of Expressions. I have with me Sachin Pilot, the dynamic Deputy Chief Minister of Rajasthan, and Mr. Chawla, who's probably known him since he was in shorts, since he was in school or maybe earlier. I know that he knew his father very well, and of course he knows Sachin very well as well. I just wanted to put it out there that Sachin is one of the few politicians who has risen to every challenge that we've seen in public life and risen to it well, and who only grows better with age, although of course he is very young even now. And today we're going to talk to him about the Rajasthan model in particular, because there's some very interesting things that his state has done under his leadership and that of his chief minister. And we will talk about how that could possibly be a model for the rest of India. So welcome, Sachin. It's good to have you with us.
Thank you, Kaveree. Thank you, Prabhu, for having me.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Sachin, may I just put the first question to you and ask you about the Manrega model, because that's something where Rajasthan is number one currently. And that's a possible model for the rest of India, where migrants, can be prevented from, can have work and can have cash in their hands, which is very vital right now to revive the economy.
So the 2 points I want to make, Kaveree. One is that when we're looking at now post-lockdown life and the road ahead, the most striking aspect of it is that we still don't have a landscape that we can be sure of in terms of how are we, the stimulus package, the execution of the package itself. In Rajasthan, at least I was one of the people who was thinking that if lockdown was to not happen beyond, let's say, April 23rd or then beyond May 1st, 15th, whatever, what would be the way that we look at things? Now, I thought that when factories are shut, shop floors are empty, there is no, no space for industrial output to carry on. The only way we can actually give institutionalized work is through the NREGA program. So on April 17th, I remember the day, I took stock of where we are in Rajasthan. Because of the coronavirus risk, people were staying homes. 62,000 people were employed on April 17th in the entire of the state Rajasthan. So that's when I decided that we must really look ahead 1 month or 2 months, because the harvest season was just about finishing off that time. So I instructed the department. I said, look, you have to make a mission mode sort of an approach and make sure that when people are at home, we are able to give them easy access to job, remove the bureaucracy, the red tapeism, give cash in the hands of people as quickly as we can. And once people start getting money very quickly, it's an added incentive for more people to seek jobs under the NREGA program, the unskilled labor, that is. So today I'm happy to report, today we have 41,70,000 people employed under NREGA. From 62,000 to 41,70,000. We are number one state for giving employment in NREGA. And I think it's a lifeline. It's a way forward for us to breathe life back into our rural economy. It's the poorest amongst us who spend almost all of their disposable income in buying, daily products.
Yeah.
And just a short point. One second, Prabhuji. When you give a poor person some money in his hand or her hands, what will she do? She'll buy food grain, clothes, chappal, jute, sabji, chai patti, tel, pani, really consumption items.
Correct.
If you give 1 crore to a really rich businessman person, he might invest it in Japanese bonds, whatever. So to revive the demand, we have to really give the poorest hands the most money. And that, I think, NREGA has been quite useful for us in that regard.
Sachin, I just interrupt because you made a very interesting number there. 41 lakh people are employed in NREGA. That means you have demanded from 100 days to 200 days. Also, I saw your statement recently.
Right.
When these 41 lakh people are working, they will be working non-stop 7 days a week now?
No, we have 1 day off in a week. This is normal. It's under the act.
Okay.
I didn't mention this earlier, Prabhuji. 83% of all the labor working in Rajasthan is working on individual projects. So, for example, I'm making my own house. I'm making my own toilet. I'm working in my own farmland. People work with much more sincerity and commitment when it's own house, own toilet, and own farm, and you still get paid for that. So it's an added incentive for people to work, and we maintain social distancing. In the NREGA kits, I've put in soap bars, masks, sanitizers, gloves, and I've done spot inspections, to put the fear of God into the bureaucracy that you can't have people working like they did earlier. I've changed the timing of NREGA work from 6 a.m. to 1 p.m. because I thought कि lunch time के बाद people tend to come together for having meals. India में it's a culture to share food, tiffins, etc. So I wanted them to finish work before lunchtime. And in the 50 degrees in Churu, it's really hot, so the heat wave is kicked in. But 1 month ago, we decided 6 a.m. to 1 p.m. And when you start getting people money on time, you give them work in their own households, you give them enhanced labor. So today the wage rate in Rajasthan is 220 rupees. So it's not a lot of money, but it's some money that people get every day. You're right, Prabhuji. We've asked for Government of India to enhance the days from 100 to 200 because for the foreseeable future, the economy is not coming back on the track anytime soon. So this is really, I think, a good support system for additional income into the hand of the households.
Sachin, I'll ask a supplementary question here also. 41 lakh labor per day is very high number. What kind of assets are they building now? Because that's the time you can create road, you can create rural, something. I don't know what kind of priority have you given them. Can you explain to us how they are involved? One, you told us that they are constructing their own house, their own toilets. But other than that, what public assets are they creating and involved in?
So what we do is, Prabhuji, हमने एक program launch किया था मैंने in my department a few months ago. एक गांव चार काम, एक ग्राम चार काम. So
great. Nice.
उन चार कामों में first is चारागा जमीन, which is for grazing of animals, etc. उसकी fencing करके, because today with population increasing, there are no free spaces for the cattle to feed themselves. So we are making an enclosure, तार लगा के तारबंदी करके, so cattle can graze. So चारागा जमीन 1. Second, school boundaries. Third, drinking water assets. So ponds, small canals, sewage. So पीने का पानी and irrigation का पानी. And the fourth work is for शमशान घाट या कब्रिस्तान. So real asset creation. ये ऐसा नहीं है कि मट्टी डाली और चले गए. That I think that's not something I will accept.
That was happening earlier.
हाँ, लेकिन मैंने बोला भाई हमारे यहाँ I will not accept this. You have to get real assets. You get full money for it. You weed out the corruption, money into the banks, but asset creation होना चाहिए. This work and money should be utilized for the larger good in the long term. That's what we're focusing on.
In one of the states, it was a photo op. People started digging the road, digging the ponds, and then after that, it vanished and collected the money. I won't name the state anyway. So that is not happening, I hope. Migrant labor is being used to have a photo op.
By the way, Prabhuji, we are doing geotagging. I'm getting photographs of all the work they're doing. Real time, I'm doing a daily monitoring of all 33 districts, the CEOs, the collectors, the block development officers, the panchayat officers. I've got everybody on their toes. I said, this is the time where bureaucracy must deliver. It's a challenge for all of us, but leadership can create policies. Execution to jammi wohi log karte hain. And I said, I will hold you accountable if people are not paid on time, assets are not being created. अब JCB लगा के आप काम करा लो और मजदूरों को पेमेंट कर दो. I said, I will not have any of this. So I've tried to be a bit more strict than before.
Sachin, I just wanted to quickly bring in one point. This was the short term. Long term में migrants अगर वापस नहीं जाए, if they remain in their villages, what are the opportunities that you can create for them, for businesses related to agriculture or textiles? I noticed you've also talked about domestic tourism, because that is supposed to be one of the sectors that may well see a rise. So what is the long-term vision? Because ये migrants तो वापस जा रहे हैं और कोई आएंगे नहीं क्या पता. Some of them may not come back.
Kaveree, see, there are two types of workforce. First of all, 80% of India's workforce is unorganized.
Right.
उसमें भी there are two aspects. One is the unskilled labor and the skilled labor.
Yeah.
So for the unskilled labor, Manrega is a good lifeline. I think it's for the short term to medium term. Manrega we can help the unskilled labor. So what we're doing is we're having a registry of all people who are coming back into Rajasthan. And there are lakhs of people who've come back to Rajasthan because, there's no job in their streets that they were working. So we're making it very easy first to attain job cards. So the 14-day quarantine period that all immigrants who come back to Rajasthan have to spend in home isolation, we're using those 14 days to create job cards to get their work sanctioned so that when they finish quarantine, they don't wait around for getting jobs because, every day is crucial. So we're doing it not sequentially, but simultaneously so that, they can get jobs straight away after quarantine. But we're making them register, and lakhs have already registered on an electronic exchange where we are registering the data, skills, education, qualification, and then we're tying them up with different sectors of industry. So there is a senior IS officer who is doing all this, but we want to match the demand in the industry because जो लोग यहाँ से गए हैं, उनकी पूर्ति के लिए जो लोग वापस आ रहे हैं वो कर सकते हैं, depending on how much reskilling and retraining we have to do. I think it's also an opportunity for people to upgrade their training skills. Who was working in a shop floor, in Maharashtra, near Pune, in the automobile sector, from Rajasthan has come back here. Where do we so maybe we can put him in the, Bhiwadi area, Alwar area, where there are automotive, units that are manufacturing OEMs. So we're doing linkages. Today, luckily, we have IT to help us out. So data creation, retraining, upgrading of skills, matching industry to what talent they have, unskilled ke liye alag, skilled ke liye alag. Rajasthan was hugely dependent on tourism.
Right.
Now you can imagine when hotels, tour guides, all of that has come to a complete halt. And I think international tourism to bahut din baad dobara revive hoga. So up until then, we're looking at how to give, at least to keep them afloat. And for that, I think domestic tourism, we have to. Rajasthan, usually, we have a lot of international tourists, just like Kerala does.
Yeah.
But I think now we must focus on religious tourism, health tourism, domestic tourism, give concessional package rates, etc. But हमने अभी तक बहुत कम focus किया था. We have this beautiful triangle of Agra, Delhi, Jaipur, Taj Mahal, Jaipur, etc. So we're trying to push that. The industry needs a lot of support.
Yeah.
And this is one industry that is very, very lucid in terms of if you don't do business for 3 months, you can't keep your staff and your hotel staff for much longer. So we are trying to see that long-term way forward, Prabhuji, for us is going to be labor-based. जो हमारा textiles, mining, tourism था, it will take time to come by. So we're focusing on other industries. We're also soliciting companies from Asia and Europe जो लोग China से छोड़कर वापस बाहर जा रहे हैं. So we are putting in proposals. A lot of our officers are talking to companies from South Korea, from other countries, so that when they shift out of China, we should be better placed to receive that investment into Rajasthan.
Right.
So it means, Sachin, what you are saying that Rajasthan has to look for a different economic development model because your GDP, state GDP, must be depending heavily on tourism.
Yeah.
I don't know what is the figure. I don't remember. You must be having the figure.
Because our incomes have dried up. Our traditional incomes have dried up. The GST, the excise, the sale for oil and gas, वो सब लगभग खत्म हो गया है. And
are you collecting enough money to pay for the salaries every month?
As of now, we're okay, but very soon we'll face very tough times. Not just Rajasthan, but all states. Unfortunately,
also, I'm just talking about,
No, as of now, we're okay. We haven't really gone into the danger zone. But if we don't revive very quickly, we might slip into that phase, which I think we want to avoid.
How much has the state revenue fallen during these 3 months per month?
70%, if not more.
70%?
Yes, in the last 2 months. There has been a complete crash of collection because, also, Prabhuji, what was owed to us by the government of India before COVID was 12,000 crores before COVID Corona hit India. So, wo pending tha. Then after that, industry, everything was shut down.
Have you got that 12,000?
No, I don't want to make this a blame game, but to be honest with you.
No, I'm just asking a question, yes or no.
Not at all. Government of India, I've been demanding that they must give state-specific funding for states to fight the coronavirus. Because the fight of the virus is not happening in New Delhi. It's happening in towns and cities, in hospital beds across India. So it's a state that is buying the ventilators, PPE kits, masks, all the equipment, medicines. So we are funding that, not getting income from other sources. It's dried up our economy, and yet we have to mount the challenge on corona with our own resources. So
I think you have not answered my question. You have not answered.
They have not paid, Prabhuji. I'm telling you.
Correct.
How often?
Pre-corona, I'm talking about pre-corona. They have not paid. And what kind of pressure are you building?
There's money outstanding from pre-corona. During the corona crisis, no state has got any specific funding to fight this virus. A stimulus package is around a very macro level, perhaps industry specific, but state governments ko koi paisa kendra sarkar ne tak nahi diya.
Sachin, you're talking about non-political thing because I remember that you said don't politicize it. I asked the question. But this morning you started from 11 to 1, Speak Up India. That is a political campaign, isn't it?
But as a political party, you don't expect us to sit and not give constructive suggestions. It is my job as the opposition nationally to tell the government of India wherever we feel, and दूसरा Prabhuji, help या सुझाव लेने से कोई छोटा नहीं बन जाता ना. So if I'm giving ideas and suggestions because I see something as a misstep or something that is lacking, it should be taken constructively. It's not finger pointing. We are saying that deposit cash into the bank account of the poorest people in India. Why is the US doing this? Why is the European countries doing it? Because you need cash in the hands of the poorest so they can sustain themselves. Lakhs of migrant laborers are walking all over India. बच्चे, बूढ़े, बुजुर्ग, बेरोजगार, भूखे चले जा रहे हैं. उनकी कोई सुध लेने को तैयार नहीं. Today, Supreme Court intervened today.
Yeah.
Supreme Court today
has passed very strict strictures on the migrant labor issue. But why was there no pan-India labor migrant movement policy by government of India? Lay down the standard operating procedures, lay down the protocol, so there is no confusion. अब blame game हो रहा है. बिहार यूपी को, राजस्थान को बोल रहा है, राजस्थान यूपी को बोल रहा है, बसों को खड़ा कर रहे हैं, border पे वापस भेज रहे हैं. I mean, it creates confusion when there's no clarity from the top. Government of India should have said, here is a policy, this is what is to be done. And there are no ifs and buts about it. But वो हुआ नहीं for the longest time.
बीजेपी का चार्ज है कि राजस्थान से बसेस भेज के आपने पॉलिटिक्स शुरू की, यूपी बॉर्डर पे खड़ी कर दी, उसमें कई फेक नंबर्स से. You must have seen all that what has happened because too much of politics happening on this issue.
You tell me, if any individual, NGO, party, government is giving help for the migrants to move from A to B, how is that wrong? If I was the Chief Minister of UP, I would have said, thank you very much for these buses. इसमें ये कमियां, but आपने जो मदद की उसका बहुत बहुत आपका शुक्रिया. Matter would have ended. First, don't give permission. Then you make them stand at the border. Then you say you send them to Lucknow. Then you arrest people, put FIR, put the people in jail. What for? We are just contributing to the national effort against Corona, and everybody is free and rightfully should come forward to help. Priyanka Gandhi and Sonia Gandhi and everybody said we'll pay for the fare of people who can't afford it. What is wrong in this? I mean, if you call it political, so be it. But by offering to help people in times of crisis, it's a humanitarian issue. No, it's not a BJP Congress issue. Unfortunately, it is taken like that, and it, the whole controversy broke down. And the chassis number galat hai. By the way, Government of India has said till June 30th, no certificates, no permissions, no license required. Extend kar diya blanket. Then how can the UP Chief Minister say ये बस का pollution certificate नहीं है, driver का license number expire हो गया? Government of India ने कहा है कि blanket सबको clearance है. वो एक पुरानी कहावत है प्रभु जी. करने का कोई बहाना नहीं, सुनो मेरी बात, करने का कोई बहाना नहीं, ना करने के 100 बहाने.
भैया आपने सुना होगा बीजेपी की भी स्टेट, आपके कांग्रेस चीफ मिनिस्टर एंड व्हाट द चीफ BJP people are saying that even on your Congress chief minister are also not on the same page as your central leadership is. That was a charge Mr. Prasad made yesterday. The chief minister is not listening to them. Even Congress doesn't speak in one voice.
Achha, can I say one thing, Prabhuji? In my 20 years of politics, I have seen the opposition making charge against the government. मैंने पहली बार देखा है कि government is making charge against the opposition. I don't understand that.
Because both of you don't know who is in the ruling party. You're partially
ruling party.
Sachin, do you think that the BJP government at the center has been particularly tough with non-BJP governments in the states?
It would seem so. Because the states that are struggling now the most are both BJP and non-BJP, whether it's Gujarat or Delhi, West Bengal or Maharashtra, it's a mix. Yeah. But the amount of sort of negative news that comes out on the trains issue, on the testing issue, on the financial support issue, comes out from the non-BJP states. Yeah. Maybe it's a natural thing, but I do think that in this time, any party in power, when it does things with magnanimity, people ultimately appreciate that.
Right.
I think today to settle scores would be very short-term, short-sighted actions. And I think nobody should be doing it. Unfortunately, the perception is that not enough was done from Delhi to help states. And I think all states, I think the BJP-ruled states will never have the guts to say this openly, but all states, I think, should have been given some elbow room, some financial liquidity to fight the coronavirus challenge. वो हुआ नहीं. And that, I think, is a grouse across states.
This COVID, for example, Sachin, COVID, for example, is a classic example where the cooperative federalism seems to have failed.
Yeah.
Is it right?
I won't say failed. I say there is room for improvement. I say there's room because the PM did consult various chief ministers. How many of those suggestions were actually taken on board? It's not known. The discussions, I think, were not held initially. Announced करने के lockdown के बाद में किया because then realized that कि दिल्ली से you can only give orders. Execution तो जिलों में होता है, राज्यों में होता है. So I think a more stakeholdership approach, getting on board all scientific community, doctors, political parties, all party meeting, getting on chief ministers. Usse kya hai, there is then a sense of unity amongst India. And I've been saying it from day one. Time will come, I will oppose, you will oppose me, we'll fight, we'll lose, we'll win, doesn't matter. But today, let the world know that India is fighting this as one nation. Because Corona is infecting, whether you're Marathi, Bengali, Gujarati, Kashmiri, makes no difference. It's attacking everybody. And people will remember how we acted in this challenge. See, people will recall what we said and what we did. So we should really be coming and leading by example by coming forward, putting aside our ideological differences. Meri aapse banti nahi, it doesn't matter. Today, pool resources, join hands, show what we can do. But now lockdown 4 khatam hone ko aa raha hai. What will happen post that? I don't know. Is there a clear roadmap on how
to... 5 aane wala hai.
I don't know. So there is a lot of ambiguity. We'll all wait, TV announcement kab hoga. But that means there is no due consultation, which is a meaningful consultation. You can have a meeting, you can take views, but जो decision लिया जा रहा है उसमें भागीदारी होनी चाहिए. So there is uncertainty on what will happen in the month of June. Some people say we have not peaked yet. Now, I don't know. So I think there should be more transparency on what basis we are judging our decisions. What are the parameters that we are meeting or not meeting to move forward? I think people of India, they should have a transparent chart on what we've done, what we haven't done, what are the misses, what are our accomplishments, learn from our mistakes, cross sharing of information. That I think should happen much more than what is happening right now.
Sachin, you are being politically correct, it seems, because you are saying
no,
yes, you
know. I've known
no, I'm asking you a question.
When have I not been politically correct?
I know that, but I'm trying to give a specific, because as a young person, you should be frank enough also.
I'm always frank. Don't say I'm not frank.
You are saying nation should be acting as one nation.
Yes.
I'm asking you a question which I want just yes or no. Are we acting as one nation or not?
Not as much as I like.
Yes or no?
Not as much as I'd like it to be.
No, that again is neither here nor there.
You can drive your own meanings, but I'm saying, no. I mean, I think we are, but can we do better? Of course. I mean, whatever Home Ministry tells us, Health Ministry, हम पूरा follow करते हैं उसको. We give our officers, bureaucrats talk to each other almost every second day. We share information. We adhere to the guidelines. We're working as one country, of course. But
you're a tourist.
Scope for improvement. Yes.
Sachin, you are a tourist destination. Even civil aviation sector has been opened partially. Were they consulted? You were consulted.
Yes, our views were taken, but different states had different views. So perhaps Government of India found
you wanted to open it or not, Jaipur?
I think we had said that if we were to open, we want much more stricter quarantine protocols, because you can't take that chance of all our 6 weeks of hard work will go down the drain if we do dramatic opening and allow anyone to travel anywhere. It just defeats the whole purpose. So we want it very strict. And today also in Rajasthan, whoever is landing into the city or any part of Rajasthan is a compulsory institutional quarantine and a home quarantine. Yes, and full testing before and afterwards.
Sachin, I wanted to ask you, what do you think were the biggest failures of this government, of the central government, in handling the situation?
Don't say failure, because he will get away from you. If you use the word failure, he will get away from there. Ask him what is the short.
What are the biggest lessons? Was it the fact that the lockdown should have been announced later? Was it the fact that we didn't have adequate testing? What do you think they were?
Look, first of all, generally speaking, we're all smarter in hindsight.
Yeah.
Right? If you asked me this question 3 months ago, I would not be as knowledgeable as I am about the whole problem and how we faced it.
Right. All of us.
Yes, that's true for all of us. But I'm saying when internationally there was a problem, perhaps a lockdown could have been thought of earlier. It's not an easy decision. It's not an easy decision to have a lockdown.
Right.
But I'm saying the lockdown was done not to find vaccine or find a medicine or a cure. It was done to give time for our capacities to be enhanced, right? Yeah. So when you say you flatten the curve, it doesn't mean you eradicate the disease.
Yeah.
You give yourself the resources, the medical equipment, ventilators, doctors, nurses, ward boys, unko aap enhance karo so you can meet the challenge at hand.
Right.
If the curve is very steep, then the hospitals get overwhelmed, like what's happening in Mumbai, for example.
Yeah.
I think we didn't use that time as best as we could have to really enhance the number of beds in each district, to get more doctors on board, to have more ventilators in place. Luckily, the need for ventilators in India is much lower than the national average.
Yeah.
So I think the time that we had the lockdown, we didn't use it as much as we should have to upgrade our capacities. Our healthcare system is very, very vulnerable anyway. Yeah. So suddenly to meet that challenge, we had these 5-6 weeks. But उसमें जो war footing पे हम लोगों को अपना capacity बढ़ानी चाहिए थी, testing की, treatment की, isolation की, वो हम लोगों ने करनी. And second point I want to make, all these hospitals across India, which are private hospitals, why have we not been able to utilize them better?
Exactly.
And my other point is that people who are non-COVID patients, kidney problem, heart problem, other serious, they have been actually neglected. So we didn't really think that non-COVID jo hoga, people still need dialysis, people still need medical interventions, emergency services. I know a lot of people who've suffered because of the corona problem, which was to be expected. But I thought this time that we had 5-6 weeks, we could have ramped it up in those 6 weeks. That's been one failure. Second, of course, is the whole labor migration.
Yeah.
I don't think enough thought was put into seeing what the numbers would be, how to deal with the problem, how the states would react. That was something that was either missed or was not thought about.
And also, aren't states now sitting on a time bomb, because these migrants will come back? They are returning. and they will, in your state, perhaps you manage to, or you hope to manage the situation well. But there are some states which will not be able to manage it so well. When they come back, when the villages start getting infected, that's a big worry, isn't it?
Unfortunately, the only silver lining we saw was that infections were mostly in cities. So Bombay, Delhi, Chennai, Indore, Jaipur. The infection, once it spreads into rural areas, which it's happening gradually now, is one of my biggest fears. Because गांव में तो infrastructure health का है ही नहीं. So, and once it goes into rural India, the hinterland, then the spread will be, I think, quite dramatic, unfortunately. Second is that if you stop testing, you won't see any numbers.
Exactly.
But that's like living in denial, because you're letting yourself up to a much bigger problem a few weeks and months from now. And there's no telling how long this will last. Best is to test, isolate, treat. The fatality is so low that it's not really that dangerous a disease as it's been made out to. But एक stigma लग गया. Corona has now got a stigma, especially in rural India. लोग check नहीं कर रहे हैं, डर रहे हैं. But one has to be really forthcoming, accept the fact that you have it, and most people get well. Hardly 5% end up going to hospital. So it's not that that dangerous a disease, but उसपे एक social stigma लग गया है. वो गांव में बड़ा मुश्किल है, because in villages there's a negativity around corona which is difficult to change, because the behavioral aspect of our society in rural India is much different. So I fear for all those issues. They're coming now. कोई religious tint दे रहा है, कोई caste का tint दे रहा है. So these things become much more problematic in rural India. But you're right, Kaveree, that certain states, I think, are under testing, and they will be put under a lot of pressure in the next few months.
Right.
Sachin, I think I'll go back to your earlier question. Kaveree has asked the central government. You said enough time was there to organize the system, create some kind of infrastructure. Let me put it very specifically. Are you not? It means the center and the state government. It's the responsibility of both the states and the center. Both of you failed to organize the system which could have responded favorably and quickly to the coming pandemic.
You see, Prabhuji, there is no perfect formula. No country has cracked it. There's no nation in the world. You say South Korea ne acha kiya, usne acha kiya. There is no perfect solution. We are doing hits and trials and seeing what works. And one shoe doesn't fit everybody. What works in India may not work in South Korea or Brazil or Russia. So every country is different. I think because we had an advantage that we knew it's coming, we were aware of it. When we enforced the lockdown, it was to buy time. Was the time utilized prudently? I think more could have been done. States, I think.
So your leader, sorry, I will interrupt you, because your leader Rahul Gandhi has been saying that he was the first to warn all of you, and now you are sitting here, Deputy Chief Minister of a very big state. He said something. Obviously, you will agree with him, or I believe so, because you are a little more politically correct than Mr. Rahul Gandhi was.
No, like I'm saying, no one knows what the right answer was in the beginning, right? So we had to so lockdown was the ultimate weapon that we had in our armory. People were only asked to wear masks much later. So some of us were wearing masks in the beginning, and people said, no, not required. So then suddenly WHO changed its ruling.
Exactly.
So I'm saying there was no clarity for any country. So I think it's important to have done what we could have done, which was to give a very clear-cut message to the poorest among our society.
Basically, you're saying these 8 weeks were not used to create what are expected to be created.
The despair that you see on the streets today, the labor, the lakhs and crores of families, it's not a small number. I think this was not thought of. And, leadership is all about knowing what might come forward and to anticipate and to be ready for that.
We failed on that count.
Well, I think if we had done this migration much before, infection rate बहुत कम होता. अब लोग infect होके अपने गांव में आ रहे हैं. मत देना आप लोगों, infection was low.
You have not played cricket, but you deflect the question very smartly.
I'm trying to be as honest as I can be.
I asked you, we failed to anticipate, the leadership failed to anticipate.
Of course it is. If Government of India knew, let me ask you, Prabhuji, if Government of India knew that the labor migration issue becomes such a problem, I can guarantee you 6 weeks ago, they would have found a solution to it. They perhaps will anticipate the magnanimity of the problem.
Sachin, I have put out a video of myself 6 weeks ago, in fact. Don't treat labor as corona villains.
Yeah.
That was the headline of my YouTube there.
Well, then the
It was 5 weeks ago.
government of India should be listening to Prabhu Chawla. What Prabhu Chawla says
but question,
happens. They should
I said it. Labor should not be treated as villains of corona, but they should be treated probably warriors, because they are going to vary it, they are going to fight it.
That is true.
But nobody bothered about it. And 3 days, 5 days later, I found every channel talking about it, and all the political people talking about it.
Sachin, may I also ask another question? Ms. Chawla, can I just ask one question about the kind of governance that we will have now? Everyone talks about the new normal and, what the situation will be like. Is there going to be a fundamental shift in the way we govern or should govern? For instance, in Rajasthan, the Bhilwara model has been much appreciated, the way they managed to contain it in that particular district. Do you think it will be far more localized, far more region specific than it is currently or should be?
Look, I can't look into the future, but my own sense, Kaveree, is that now elections, governments, and the leadership will be judged on hard delivery. Right. And the state has a much more important role to play in a time of crisis. So governments and leaders who deliver on healthcare, on school, on farming issues, I think those deliverables will count for a lot more than slogans and bhashan and, a lot of promises and manifestos, etc. Because people realize that how quickly our reality can change. From being very comfortable to being very vulnerable, it takes 1 week. So leaders who can really lead from the front, leaders who can inspire confidence, leaders whose credibility people have faith in, leadership that can lead by example, that can show that can take tough decisions and yet have people along with them. Leaders who don't discriminate, leaders who don't shudder from saying the right thing. Those sort of qualities, I think, will be much more appreciated in the time to come. I don't know in 6 months or 12 months when we find the vaccine, whether things will come back to complete normal. I don't know what the new normal is going to be. What I know is that India is very good. Indian people, young people are very good at adapting themselves. So I know that for a fact that we are a resilient lot. We've been through a lot in the last 4,000 years. So one virus, no matter how deadly it is, can't deter all of us. So we'll move forward. We'll go forward with a positive attitude. Leadership, governance, it'll have sort of much more demands to itself. It'll be much more scrutinized, much more oversight, and people will watch very closely because people have suffered. It's not just the poorest amongst us. In middle classes, people who are earning substantial amounts of money every month are now thinking about how to move. Friends of mine who I went to school with, who are professionals, etc. I speak to them, and even they're looking at a very, ambiguity sort of nature of life.
Deep. Yeah.
So when you're in that position, you expect a lot more from the leadership, and that's when you have to rise to the challenge. So it's going to be not easy, but I'm sure we'll come over it.
I think one question which is coming to my mind, because Rajasthan model everybody's talking about. First was Kerala model, then Rajasthan model. Can you list a couple of things which you have done better than what the center has done or other states have done? What is the Rajasthan specific model?
So, no, I know. I will talk about what we have done or we should.
Rajasthan, that's right.
But I don't want to compare to other states because that's not correct right now. Everyone has compulsions and constraints.
Which others have not done, you have done. I am asking that.
Okay, so what we have done, we have increased our testing. So earlier we had almost no testing. All our samples were sent outside the state. Then we only had in Jaipur. So now we have made a plan to use our resources, to use this time and money to develop testing centers in all district headquarters. Because Prabhu ji, आज COVID-19 है. भगवान न करे COVID-20 कभी आएगा. We should be unprepared like this, right? So we are using time and asset creation for the future. Testing हम लोगों ने बहुत बढ़ा दिया. We are getting 25,000 tests per day, starting from zero. So we ramped up our capacities. We imported machines from.
Is the average higher than the national average?
Much higher. It's higher than national average. Our recovery rate is much higher than the national average, and our fatality rate is much lower than the national average. So on that front, we've done well. Also because a lot of the infected individuals were from a young age, so their their immunity was strong and they were able to come back. But even as I speak, every single district in Rajasthan is infected. So it's not to say that we've come over the problem. We have to be even more vigilant. But our testing, our recovery rate, our capacities in each district, we've enhanced. We feared the worst. So we had a total of Rajasthan. We wanted to have 1 lakh beds capacity increased, and we've achieved that. So if at all we ever come to that point, we'll have enough beds to take care of our patients.
Did you use private hospitals, as you were saying?
So at Bhilwara, for example, we did. So not just hospitals, hotels, dharamshalas, hostels. Right. We had taken all of them to have, because, to have a full containment, you've got to be able to deliver essential supplies to the doorstep.
Right.
अब इंडिया में unfortunately कभी क्या होता है, कावेरी क्या होता है कभी-कभी, supposing there's a curfew, I know the ACP, I know the local corporator, I know the MLA, I'll get my pass made. I'm an NGO, I'm a journalist. So there is some movement, So to have a total, complete shutdown, a super curfew, you need to make sure that even essentials are dropped to your house.
Right.
So in Bhilwara, initially, that's what the district collector did. And that's why we had very good results initially from Bhilwara. So you have to be ruthless in how you impose the curfew, because a curfew and lockdown with people moving around, scooters, motorcycles, it has no sanctity.
Exactly.
So we have to be very, very strict in how and that's why countries and societies that are disciplined, that are strict, will, I think, fight Corona much better than people who just take it, lightly. Like the US, for example.
Sachin, we have a question from Pulkit Baid of Great Eastern. Government of Rajasthan has brilliantly handled the health aspect of the pandemic. What's your stand on the economic impact? And post-COVID, we are headed for an Inspector Raj with the administration having so many regulations in place. Do you agree with that?
It's a very bleak sort of future he's looking at for all of us. I don't think so. We come back to, the right path for us. I don't think Inspector Raj aisa ho jayega. Yes, today the state is all powerful because everybody's stuck at home.
Exactly.
And you need governments to pump in money, stimulus packages, relief, cash transfers, etc. Government has a huge role to play. But once things come back to normal, our society, our media, our judiciary, our NGO, civil society is all very strong. So I don't think it's going to be a point where you'll have a real, the iron hand of the government coming down our throats. Aisa nahi hone wala hai. But I think, and I hope that our recovery, Kaveree, is a V-shaped recovery. Right. Because there's pent-up demand. I hope we're able to just let loose the brute energy of our society and then, have a very steep growth trajectory in the next few quarters coming up.
There are two more questions. One is from Mithul Anil Jain. What measures has Rajasthan taken for protecting contractual medical professionals such as Ashas? Very interesting. Good question.
It is. That's been a long-term issue for us. But right now, what we've done is, in month of March, anybody who was retiring in July, we gave it 3-month extensions for all paramedics. Anybody who had retired recently, we made them join. For nurses, for ward boys, for all medical practitioners, because we wanted all hands on deck. So, we'd like to settle the issue. We'd like to give everybody a permanent job. But as you know, it's not possible to give everyone what they want right now. Our resources are tight. But we do hope that the medical fraternity, that really, I think, deserves a salutations. वो अपने जान पे हाथ पे रख के गली मोहल्लों में जा रहे हैं टेस्ट करने के लिए, knowing very well people are infected, they're risking their lives, and then they get mistreated by their homeowners, by neighbors. It's really, I think that's something that really shocked me about all of us, and I was disappointed when I saw people attacking nurses and doctors, etc. in some colonies. That's unbecoming of a civil society. So all the medical fraternity, I think, deserves. They are people who, our soldiers are protecting us on the borders, but it's these doctors, nurses, and medical staff which really are fighting on behalf of all of us. So they deserve all the help that they can get. I can assure you, in Rajasthan, whatever best we can do for this lot, we will do.
एक और सवाल है from Tarun Sharma. What is the plan for COVID containment in the days to come?
Well, I think, fatigue does set in. We're all human beings. And I'll tell you an example. When the first lockdown happened, I know people were washing their hands 10 times a day. Now they're doing it 3 or 4 times a day. Because, human nature is that we get used to things, new normal, we get fatigued, we get, tired of our same routine. But month of June, we have to be the most vigilant. Because remember, now we have 1.5 lakh COVID positive patients in India. That means infection has spread. So now we're doing is we're opening up the economy, we're easing up some industries, some sectors, but we have to be even more vigilant. We have to follow the protocols. We have to maintain social distancing, the masks, sanitizers. It's compulsory to wear masks in cities in Rajasthan. Every organization, company, government office has been given strict protocols what to do. Now it depends on all of us how seriously we take those instructions. And I think all instructions and guidelines of Government of India and Government of Rajasthan, people must follow. Because this really is a very challenging next month of June. And we should really, I think, be very, very careful and not just, think everything is okay because the numbers have started to fall. I think the peak is yet to come.
Sachin, I will ask you a question. Sorry, Kaveree. Since the 31st May is coming now, as Rajasthan government, Will you favor the fifth lockdown, or you will try to ease it out, allow flying people go in, but you will open up more so that economic activity start, economic destabilization will come back to stability? Because you have to live with it. As Prime Minister said, we have to live.
We have to do both. We have to open up the green zones. We have to open up factory. We have to open up, the marketplaces.
But all the districts are in orange zone now.
Yes, no. There are a few red zones. But I'm saying, even in district, if there's a red district, it's not that the entire district is there. जहाँ जहाँ इन्फेक्शन है वहाँ तो आप करें बिल्कुल सुपर कर्फ्यू लगाना पड़ेगा. But जहाँ पर नहीं है, we have to start opening that. You can't. The cost of, I think, the utility of lockdown, we've kind of maximized it now. Further blanket lockdown will not give the same returns as it did 6 weeks ago.
You mean to say the kind of lockdown we have got, it has to be changed. It should not be called lockdown, because people are really fearing lockdown, and it has to be some other word.
It has to be, Prabhuji, it has to be staggered. So we've opened up most of our parts in Rajasthan. There are some confined areas. लेकिन जहाँ confinement है, मुंबई में है, जयपुर में है, इंदौर में है, चेन्नई में है, those areas of those cities, they have to be really, cordoned off, extremely, tight curfews there, and dhire open up. And I think the district collector and the chief ministers and the states know which district में कहाँ क्या खोलना है. Sitting in South Block in Delhi, how do you know कि चेन्नई में क्या हो रहा है, त्रिचुपल्ली में? It's all reports that you get. So that flexibility has to be given to the district administration. Jaipur, for example, हमारे यहाँ रामगंज वाले बेल्ट में infections ज़्यादा हैं, but other parts of Jaipur city are pretty normal. So we should try and bifurcate even in the cities, how much to lock down. लेकिन जहाँ lockdown है, I'm repeating myself, those areas that are red and confinement zones हैं, वहाँ पर we must have strict enforcement. We cannot allow ourselves to, the luxury of, exposing other populations to those areas.
Sachin, people would like to know a very short answer. I'm just saying that, can I say that, or ask as a personal citizen of India, do you think now the time has come, let the central government sit back and give national policy guidelines rather than announcing lockdown extension or not, whatever. Let the individual state announce individual.
I mean, now it's pretty much people are out. There's hardly any curfew containment.
No, but now the state should announce everything what they want to do.
I think the states should have been given. Abhi diya last lockdown jab kiya tha, then the green, red or green, orange or red zone बनाने का काम फिर states coming up कर रहे हैं. ये बहुत पहले करना चाहिए था.
नहीं, announcement extension का center से होता है ना.
Correct.
आप किसी जगह कोई state राजस्थान नहीं करना चाहता, नहीं कर रहा था. Let them follow their own guidelines.
I think they can issue a broad guideline and a framework, and उसमें किसको कहाँ क्या डालना है, that flexibility state government should have. But if the government of India has connections with the WHO, with the world community, with other international bodies, so they get a lot of information, a lot of data, a lot of guidelines, a lot of what's best practices in the world. So they must share that with the states, and then the final execution part should be left with the state.
मैं हिंदी भाषा में पूछता हूँ सीधा लॉकडाउन अनाउंस करने की घोषणा दिल्ली से होनी चाहिए या दिल्ली बाकी जो राज्य है उनकी कैपिटल?
आपका सवाल 6 हफ्ते लेट आया है. ये सवाल 6 हफ्ते पहले पूछते. अब 4
अब फिर 5वीं बार आने वाला है ना.
मैं कह रहा हूँ लॉकडाउन का क्रियान्वयन राज्यों को करना चाहिए और
घोषणा किसको करनी चाहिए?
देनी चाहिए. घोषणा केंद्र सरकार करती आ रही है. मुझे लगता नहीं परिपाटी बदलने वाले आपके कहने से वो लोग.
नहीं, आपके कहने से.
अब आप ट्राई करो, वहां पर मिलके हो सकता है.
चलिए ठीक है. एक बात और है, what you are talking about, coming back to politics, because
मेरी हिंदी मैं अंग्रेजी में हाथ तंग है, लेकिन हिंदी मेरी ज्यादा बेहतर है. तो मैं
हिंदी इंग्लिश बहुत बढ़िया आपकी हिंदी दोनों अच्छी है. Don't be modest.
I was talking about the both of us.
मेरी अंग्रेजी बहुत खराब है.
नहीं मैं
इसलिए हिंदी थोड़ी बेटर है. पंजाबी हिंदी है मेरी वो, और इंग्लिश है. मैं इंग्लिश नहीं बोलता, इंग्लिश बोलता हूँ. So let me come back to that question again. Politics के ऊपर, because what is happening that there is some kind of a murmur going on कि political stability, जैसे महाराष्ट्र में कल परसों शुरू हो गया कि they are going to fight, there are differences, and Mr. Fadnavis came to the press conference. And Rajasthan is also precariously placed in terms of minority majority. You have a very wayward majority.
No, I think Prabhu, let me tell you, Rajasthan में we have 107 out of 200 Congress MLAs, and we have about 13 independent MLAs and 5 or 6 smaller parties all supporting the Congress government. So it is not like the Congress government is in a wafer thin majority. We have sufficient numbers for Rajya Sabha elections. We have sufficient numbers for a full term government. So all these rumors and gossips are being set up by by people.
Because it started with Rajya Sabha, no? Because they filled up certain nominations which were not expected by the Congress party as well.
Whatever Congress party decides for Gujarat mein kaun hoga, Maharashtra mein kaun hoga, Rajasthan mein kaun hoga, that's the Congress party's decision always. But elections are postponed because of coronavirus, because lockdown हो गया था. Election now voting will happen hopefully next week.
हाँ, unanimous नहीं हुआ ना आपके यहाँ, थोड़ा सा इसी वजह से.
अब वो बीजेपी ने एक एक्स्ट्रा खड़ा कर दिया just to enforce an election.
I was referring to that only because you will start facing the political heat also soon. Once this heat comes down.
Rajasthan, we are used to a lot of heat, so there's no problem.
So you don't see any political stability happening there, instability.
I think everything. We are now everyone. In fact, by the way, we've taken the views of BJP, BSP, independent, जिसको जो बोलना है, we got everybody on board for Corona के खिलाफ. सबके हम लोगों ने views लिए हैं, सब MLAs MP से बात की है. We have no MPs in Congress party, Lok Sabha. All 25 are BJP. But yes, we've spoken to all of them, gotten their views, given them some tasks and responsibilities, so that we must be seen to fight this together. You see, time will come for elections and speech giving. Lekin aaj to people will judge you by how magnanimous and how solid you're seen as a political person.
May I ask how you're getting along with your chief minister?
I see no reason why you asked me that question, because we all working together. I'm the president of the party, he's the chief minister, and the organization and the government are working together to deliver what people expect of us. You see, it's not about individuals, Kaveree.
Yeah.
People voted for a certain party to serve them for 5 years. Now, I'm a part of the establishment and the government, and my job is to live up to those expectations. Now, X, Y, Z, we will come and go, but people who have voted, they deserve the best. So we are putting all our efforts, all our focus, all our attention is how to deliver and how to make sure that we come out of this crisis as best as we can.
We have one last question before I tell Mr. Chawla to ask the last question from Rashmin Kumar Mahapatra. What will Rajasthan do for millions of migrant workers, Sachin?
So, Mr. Mahapatra, it's the same thing. We have lots of people who have gone back to Bengal, Odisha, other places, and we have lakhs of people who are coming back to Rajasthan. So first thing is that we are trying to screen everybody. We've got it, and we've made committees at the panchayat level for home quarantine, for institutional quarantine, because we don't want infection to spread. Once people are back, I've told them, because I have run that department of Panchayati Raj and rural development, that anybody who wants a job card, work for Nareka, please go ahead, unskilled people can work. If you're skilled, we'll segregate and we'll see how best we can place you with different companies, government and private companies, so that you're gainfully employed. It won't be easy, the transition, but these are trying circumstances for all of us, and we have to make do with the best that we have. But our aim is that no one should remain unemployed, no one should go hungry, and government, and including people, NGOs and other donors have given huge amount of resources. So we have been giving food packets to anybody and everybody who's asked for it. So situation in Rajasthan, frankly speaking, is it's still much better than most places. And I'm not trying to be boastful. I'm just saying that Congress party itself, my own organization, we distributed more than 1 crore 15 lakh food packets. Party, not government. Government ne kiya, wo alag kiya hai. So we've been quite active on the ground, and we take feedback from wherever, And dusra kya hai, Kaveree? Sometimes what we learn from, like Kerala, for example, has good history of how they fought coronavirus.
Yeah.
But we must also learn from people's mistakes. So what didn't work somewhere, we must not go through the entire circle and then learn. We must learn from other people's mistakes. So cross sharing information between different states होना चाहिए. इसलिए जहाँ हमारे यहाँ पे जो जोधपुर में नहीं हुआ, वो भरतपुर में कर सकते हैं. So we try and do cross learning from each district also, and that's the way democracy should function.
Yeah, Mr. Chawla.
No, it's okay.
You
can conclude. Because last question.
You are never short of questions, Prabhuji. I'm sure you can come up with one more.
Sachin, I wanted to ask you, you personally.
When will you become the chief minister? Let me ask the question.
See, I'll tell you, I have an answer for that. In this country and in this state, people vote for the party, right? And the party decides who will lead the parliamentary delegation or the MLA leadership. So people voted for the BJP, and BJP made Mr. Modi the Prime Minister. So here the people of Rajasthan voted for the Congress party, and then we all decided that so-and-so will be Chief Minister, so-and-so will be Deputy Chief Minister. It's simple as that. So people don't vote for individuals.
Party decided Mr. Gehlot to lead the party. There's a government.
The MLAs and all of us.
You are deputy. Congress party MLAs.
Let me tell you, 18 months ago, we all sat down together. The MLAs were asked questions. Ultimately, we all decided that we leave the final decision to the AICC, to the Congress president. And Congress president sat down in Delhi, called both of us and said that this is what we've decided. Mr. Gehlot will be chief minister, and I have to continue as party president.
To assist him. So it was Congress party leadership for the time being had more faith in him. to lead the party there.
You're asking questions or you're putting words in the mouth?
You decide what you want to do.
Like I said, I am part of the government. I'm heading this party, and I've been Congress party president for 6.5 years. Right?
Yeah,
so I have some experience.
You're holding two posts at the same time.
I have taught the length and breadth of the state, so I know the state pretty well, and I have a responsibility for people who work with me for 6.5 years. जिन्होंने खून पसीना बहाया है, उन लोगों के लिए तो मैं काम करना पड़ेगा ना मेरे को.
Sachin, Rajasthan is a peculiar situation where the deputy chief minister reporting the chief minister in the government, but chief minister is supposed to be reporting the Congress president in the state, who is Sachin Pilot.
I think that's not that complicated.
Thank you, Sachin, very much.
On that note, I think we should call it a day. Thank you very much, Sachin. Thank you very much, Mr. Chawla. And we wish you all the best. Thank you so much, Sachin.